Good morning, everybody. Wow, wow, wow. What a ride it has been and still going. Telling you, you guys, those of you who are not doing JJUS at the level that you should, you are missing out. I get chasing money. I get being busy. I get wanting to be productive. I understand that. I understand wanting to be busy, be productive, be distracted, be creative. Okay, I understand that. But if you're always so busy all the time, which I know some of you will say, oh yes, thanks to JJUS, I am so busy. But yet you're not giving yourself enough time, hey Evika, enough time to heal, to get to the next level. There's so many levels with JJUS that if you just stop at the one level, you've stunted the potential growth. And I think that's where some of you have that are on the JJUS, that you got to a certain specific point that you're like, okay, I see results, I see stuff, I can be a proponent for this, and now I'm be so busy to where it's to the detriment of your healing process. You won't go above the certain amount of cups and water and all that stuff. And so you're stuck. And then all of your communication from that point still says, okay, I'm a proponent for JJUS, but you don't get the other revelations that I have because you haven't gone to the next level. And you're still stuck in other programming. So the last couple of days, I've been going through actually the last couple of weeks, I've been still going through major healing on my end. Okay, so being in the third year, it's not like you're going to see yourself be 100% perfect, okay? Because I brought to the table a set of issues that I worked through. Some of you are bringing to the table major issues that you must work through. And you may not be, especially if you're really, really busy, you may not be seeing where I'm at in 3 years. You may see it in 5 years. If you actually put forth the time. Some of you won't put forth the time, so you'll never see certain things that I can see at this point, as far as just understanding like self-awareness, as well as understanding the other people around you. Okay, because yeah, I mean, some of you, but others of you are doing the JJUS, okay, and you've been on it the same amount of time that I've been on it, and you have the same kind of experiences. Like yesterday, like I am feeling a virus come to surface. But it's not like, you know, like a flu virus or any other virus that has like some kind of negative connotation. No, we all have viruses within us, but it is programming, it is data that gives us the ability to expand whatever and accelerate us to whatever level that we need to. On a strong body or on a weak body, it starts to destroy you. Okay, because we have characterized virus could be either positive or negative relative to what you're bringing to the table. So this is why we have the anti-vax campaigns out there, because people are so weak that they are so afraid of these viruses that are in the vaccines. But you should really be afraid of your environment of people that are very mobile and global all over the world coming to your front door, so to speak. And you're going to be exposed anyways. You can't prevent pathogens and you can't prevent healing. So the government has these opportunities for you to then give yourself a layer of protection, almost like a preemptive strike, being proactive, to give you some layer of protection. So if you do come upon an aggressive virus that you're not prepared for, at least your body's prepared to handle it. That's how simple I can put it, okay? So I'm dealing with a virus that I've had in my body for years. It's coming to but the symptoms that I'm having now was never the symptoms that I dealt with. Well, yeah, it was. But when I did get diagnosed with that virus, so to speak, it really, I mean, at first it threw me for a loop and I felt like, oh my God, I'm such a dirty person, whatever, all those type of negative connotations. But no, everybody, whoever had sex out there in the world, will be exposed to every virus that's out there. You may be asymptomatic for a certain amount of time, but then it translates into cancer, disease, and chronic illness, obesity, autoimmune disorders, you name it. And there is nobody out there that has not escaped the programming of the viruses that actually manifests in a negative type of situation? Nobody. Everybody that has ever had sex in their life, who's over 20 years old, has been exposed to all the different viruses. Okay? Because it's not only the STD type viruses, but it's also just the regular viruses in the environment. Stuff that you would get in the restaurant, or someone sneezes on you, or somebody else, yeah, or you eat food that's been contaminated, but it hasn't reached the radar of like OSHA or FDA where they have a food recall. No, it's just that you are having your food prepared by people who may not have washed their hands. Okay? So we're all exposed to these viruses. So now I'm dealing with an aggressive virus that's in my body that's been laying really, really dormant. And I'm thinking, if I haven't done the J juice, I would probably see cancer in my future. Okay? So anyway, so I'm dealing with healing symptoms, but it was yesterday was weird because I felt like kind of strong, but tired, and weak, but strong. It was such a weird kind of like conflicting feeling. And then like, I'm like, okay, I want to couch surf, I want to take a nap, but I can't sleep. And I'm like, what the hell is going on? My husband's like, what? Because my husband's working the graveyard shift. So he was home all day and then he's, driving all night type of thing. And I'm just like, I really can't explain it. It's not something I could really just put my finger on. Like, I wasn't dizzy or anything. I mean, that wasn't, it was just, but Jackery's son, I think she's in like, there she is. Jackery, nice to see you, girl. She said, I feel the same thing. It's just a weird feeling because you're fighting something, but you feel so strong. See, that's the context of J juice. This is not like where prior to the J juice, you have symptoms, which are still healing symptoms, but on a weak body. When you have symptoms on a weak body, you feel weak. You feel like you're being destroyed by something, and then you go and take antibiotics or drugs, which further weakens you, and then you're just now a zombie, but trying to program yourself to the current environment and still go to work and take care of your kids and all that stuff. But yesterday was a very different dealing with a virus. It is a strength that I still had mental clarity. I could have, like, if I had to, I could have just cleaned the whole house. If I had to, if I had to go to work yesterday, I could have gone to work and dealt with this. And so, but I noticed since I didn't have really to do anything except make meals for my husband yesterday and do the dishes and feed my dog and take her out, I noticed a lot of stuff that was going on. And it was a really weird feeling. So it was like I make time for healing. A lot of you need to make time for healing. A lot of you are very, very busy and you're trying to be so busy trying to make that money. But I'm telling you, the money's going to always be there. You've got to make time for the healing to get to these next levels. If not, you're going to be stuck. And then you're going to trigger people. So yesterday, the day before, when I was, dealing with, oh God, I mean, yeah, I dealing with symptoms, and I may have been more aggressive, but no matter what, even at the juncture that we are in with the Jilly Juice, you will still get triggered by people who cross boundaries, or that you're trying to figure out something because maybe you're a leader in a group or something, and you're still trying to figure out something, but instead of the calm, cool hormones that will still have the same message, hey, do you understand the protocol? Are you fearful? And sugar is not the enemy. You may have more of a forceful, harsher tone because of just what your biochemistry is going through. So your feelings and your message are still very credible. You're still vetting out people. And I'll tell you my situation is I was still vetting out some people in my group. Because people in my group, they go in and out of the protocol. It happens. Okay, not everybody can handle the protocol and the symptoms. They get distracted. They have all these things that go on in their world, and then they're off on another rabbit hole, another tangent, and they disappear for however long. And then people come back, and I see people come back, and that's great. So I didn't know this person who's going through some healing symptoms, who went to the hospital for asthma attacks and all this other stuff. And she's also doing the J juice, and I'm thinking like, okay, that the J, like, and I could tell the tone that she wasn't fully convinced that it was like healing symptoms, that it was something else going on. I'm like, it's all healing. It's that your body's trying to get rid of stuff. When you have symptoms anyways, your body's trying to find alternative pathways to keep you alive instead of totally kill you off, okay? That's what symptoms are. It's a red flag, and it's alternative pathways so your body stays alive even when there's an upset of homeostasis, a change in the programming. So I didn't come off harsh in the beginning. I just was like, okay, just hang in there. It's going to happen. Blah, blah, blah. And then when people are sick in our society, sometimes the communication is not very clear. So then I see, her going in a direction of that sugar is the enemy, and you can take some of her comments like either way. And this is why I say be very clear in your communication. Don't leave room for interpretation. Don't be ambiguous. Be clear, be concise. And that is an art. That is very, very difficult, because we still have assumptions in the back of our head that people know what we're talking about. And I do too. Believe me, I'm guilty of it too. And I have to then go in and edit my comments and edit this, because I forget that I have an audience of people who just came on board, don't know where the hell I'm coming from. So I have to then start giving a little bit of background sometimes, not all the time. So this is where I characterized her comment, which could have been taken either way, as her and her son thinking that sugar is the enemy. And then somebody else comes in and says, okay, I'm thinking it's the other way, but then it could have been taken either way, and it was just difficult. It wasn't clear. And when you have people that are not clear on your intention, okay, it means that there's something wrong in your communication. You weren't making yourself clear to where somebody misinterprets. Okay? And so if you have a commitment, then you can clarify. And we did. She had a commitment to the protocol. I had a commitment to her to make sure that I really understood where she was coming from, that sugar isn't the enemy, because that's then finally we figured out towards down the comment line, even though it may not seem like to some people that that's what she was alluding to, it finally came out that she thought the sugar is the enemy. And I'm like, okay, I knew I was feeling something. The comment prior could have been taken either way, but then finally what she was truly thinking came out, that she thought the sugar was the enemy. So I knew that my intuition was correct, and I knew that there was something else going on that I had to glean out. And that's my methodology. And sometimes it's harsh, but the empaths on my page who don't like how it is that I utilize certain techniques, which is basically, hey, I'm going to basically chase you away. I'm going to, Doreen, no questions right now. I'm going to chase you away if I think that you're not a candidate for the protocol. Okay? And that's something that I do intuitively, because not everybody is the protocol. Not everybody can do the protocol. So I would rather repel you from it and make you fight for it than make it so easy and have you think that's so easy. Okay? And so anyways, Doreen, that's not even the point about what other illnesses. That's not even the point. Okay? But anyway, so her and I figured it out. Okay? We came to a happy medium. I still left the comments there because I want people to see it. Exactly. So if they saw everything, they understand where I was coming from. Great. Perfect. Then like Linda something was like, oh, could she be saying that the sugar was what caused her to do this? And I'm like, and it's like, and I just said, no. I had another comment, and I'm like, no. And then she's like, okay, that's cool. Those comments could have been taken either way. And that's great. Okay, and then I left it there. And then somebody else. Now, I've had issues with some people in the group who are major empaths. I've been having focus on empaths for a reason. Okay, the hate people are easy because it's just a fear that I understand. And so hate is a very easy thing to deal with because you know where you stand with a person. So you just repel them because you don't want, I mean, you can still listen to the message occasionally, but you don't want to immerse yourself in their messages because it's a very, very imbalanced, predatory message. But the love people that are in my group, that are on my Facebook page, it's a bit more deceiving. Not that they're intending to be deceiving, but it's a bit more deceiving. Anyone that doesn't understand that you have to get mad, that you have to be harsh sometimes, you have to have tough love to create boundaries. See, that's what these empaths don't subscribe to because of traumas in the past, because they've been told that they cannot get mad. Even Doreen, I'm going to put you, since you put yourself out there, Doreen, even Doreen, you exhibit some of those characteristics because you've tried to defend somebody when I'm trying to figure out and be straight and be very matter of fact. You want to come in there and be like, oh no, she's not saying that. She needs to be defended against me. If you think you have to defend somebody against me, we're not on the same wavelength. And so I noticed that with the empaths in my group that think they have to defend themselves, defend another person against me, like I'm some evil thing. Hey, we're in the group. We're doing the J juice. Is J juice evil? Am I being evil to this person? Not everybody can do the protocol. So I have a methodology. I'd rather chase you away than bring you in and have you be miserable and not understand and then mischaracterize. Okay? There's a method to my madness that the empaths don't get because they've never been taught it's okay to be mad. It's okay to be harsh when you need to be. It's okay to draw boundaries. It's okay to say, hey, you need to buy the book. I'm not going to answer a billion freaking questions. It's okay to have straight communication. It really is. But the empaths don't believe in that because they've been programmed for such a long time to only come from love, only come from positive. You can't say anything that would make somebody potentially cry or anything that would be a straight communication. You can't. And so, yes, and so being an empath is like a predator, but more disguised behind love. And then they use love as their justification for crossing boundaries. It's a type of manipulation that it's easy for me to fall into because I want, for me, what I think is support is love. Oh, if everybody loves me, then it means I'm doing something good. Well, that's not necessarily the case. Even the people that hate me also prop me up. They catapult me into the next level. I don't want to deal with the haters, no, but they've given me some major valuable information that I converted into something that's beneficial to not only me, but to all of you. However, I don't want to reside in the hate. I don't want to reside in the love, okay? Because love isn't the answer. Because if you are exuding love and hate through an imbalanced body, it's a skewed communication. Now, if you're always mad, then so if you're always mad, then somebody is always crossing boundaries. Why do you think kids act out in school? Or why you see problems with children in schools? Because somebody at home is always crossing boundaries and the kid has no power. So the only way they can find and take back their autonomy and their power is to react, is to act out. Okay? And so, but if you never act out and you never ever create boundaries and you're always so good and so loving, then you also allow people to cross your boundaries because you have none. And so I find that the empaths, the only time that they have boundaries is if you say a cross word. That's their only boundary you cross. So you always have to come from love. And so if a person comes from love all the time, they could be very deceptive in their messages. And you bring them in because they're so lovey. And then all of a sudden, you're like a sitting duck. That's what I've noticed personally, dealing with some of the empaths out there, is they pull me in with the love, and then they lay the smack down with their agenda. I want you to get into this energy healing. I want you to do this, this, and this. I want to influence you in this, this, and this. And then my body has a very major, like my body knows what's going on here. And it has an actual physical reaction. It's a trip. Like my biochemistry knows exactly that this person, even before my mind knows, my body knew that there was something wrong here. So when I get triggered, it's because somebody crossed a boundary. Okay. Now, if I were to get, if I'm on the internet getting triggered every day, writing articles about all these people that are doing wrong things, then I'm purposely crossing. allowing people to cross boundaries. I'm purposely going in and looking for people crossing boundaries. If I were to go in every single debunking group and go into all the different hater groups in YouTube and entertain everyone that hates me, then I am purposely crossing boundaries by allowing people to come in and allow them to cross boundaries against me. And then that shows that I have a total lack of awareness of myself as well as other people. Okay? And so that's why I came to the concepts of acknowledgement and indifference. Indifference is where you just have no generosity. You don't want to give anybody any type of acknowledgement of their contribution. You're just like indifferent. And I don't mind those people because they leave me alone. Okay, they don't say anything, and so I don't have nothing really to feed off of them. Fine. But it's still like you're withholding. Indifferent people withhold. Not only do they withhold love, but they withhold a lot of other things. What is love? Well, they withhold gratitude. They withhold things that really relationships need to thrive on. Okay? And that isn't really optimal either, is to have somebody in your life that is constantly indifferent. All right? So then, you know, really what the optimal way to be and how to, you know, have a good relationship is acknowledgement. And then paying attention to boundaries. When someone says, I do not want to learn about this healing energy, crystals, whatever, breathing, whatever it is, you don't add them to a group. You don't keep pushing your agenda onto somebody when they've said you and told you in many different ways, this is not what I want. Maybe we need to stop the conversation for a bit. Stop the communications. Okay, so the conversation stops in this one area, and then they come in another area, and they go and do more communication. And then they say, I love you, I love you, I love you. And you're like, love isn't the answer. Don't try to make things better by saying, I love you. That's a manipulation. When you are using love as a way to solve conflict, you are now having an association that love is conflict, and then you're always going to have your boundaries crossed. And that's where I'm like, okay, I need to cut off the communication because this person has no boundaries in this area. I need to set those boundaries because nobody set them for them when they have done whatever they've done. Okay? And so that's kind of the things that I've been dealing with, which I'm sure all of you have something like that in your world. Okay? Love can be very deceptive, and it can get people charmed into an agenda. And so, and this is, you know, the thing with the whole thing with the pot and all the ayahuasca and the playing with the hormones and doing the breathing stuff and not addressing and being with the pain of a situation. Like when I went through all that issues with the media back in April, I had to go through all of that. Okay? I didn't want to go and go get somebody to go and manipulate my body to go then mask the pain. I didn't want to do mass amounts of drugs or drink alcohol to deal with all of that stuff. No, I had to sit with and do what I had to do. I had to go and emote. You saw what I did back when I was done with the media and stuff, right? But I had to do it. That was me screaming boundaries are being crossed. That was me defending myself against people who were mischaracterizing me. We have to do that sometimes. And I suppressed it for such a long time because I've been trying to get this protocol out and trying to do this and do all these different things. And so I didn't have time back then to really deal with the media. So finally, all of that suppressed energy that was circulating within me that I'm sure could come out in cancer because it's a weakness, it needed to come out. And then someone's like, well, you could have done all this stuff. That way you didn't have to go through all that. I had to go through that. So we do not want to diminish anybody's pain by trying to apply a remedy for them and say, no, you shouldn't go through the pain. Some people need to go through the pain. If you are the kind of person that drowns yourself in alcohol and pot and drugs and doing all of these ayahuasca retreats, you are not dealing and managing the pain and the healing in the proper way. You're further suppressing it. And then you have a lack of self-awareness, and then you cross boundaries. Okay? I mean, I'm seeing so many correlations and patterns and things, and I'm like, oh my God. I've been through so many different relationships on this protocol as far as people coming in and out of my inner circle. I have. Because the people in my world that are in and out of my world are a reflection of where I am at the time. Now, I hope the people that are in my world and kind of came out, because I had to like repel a little bit for a minute, I hope that they eventually figure out why it is that the relationship finally didn't work, and maybe they want to figure out to get to the next level, or they stay where they're at. But I hope that they do. But that's the thing, is your relationships are a reflection of where you are. Okay? My husband, I've been with him since 2011. We met in 2010, and we've gone through a lot of ups and downs. No, he's not doing the protocol, but we have, even though he may not be like at my level as far as understanding a lot more, as you see what I'm understanding, and he sees all these transmissions, but he still has his own belief system, and I respect his belief system, he respects mine, and we have a common goal. Okay, and so we make it work. He understands where I'm going, I understand where he's going. We try to support each other the best way we can, and that's it. Okay, so but when you have other friendships, there has to be a respect. Okay, and sometimes I'm going to be going through, especially with the protocol, I'm going through all of my different situations and the people that I bring in, and then I realize, okay, just like with the vectors, the vaccines that give you the layer of protection, the viruses, the bacteria, it's all data, it's all programming. Every single relationship you guys ever have is data. It is programming. It is you're taking on somebody else's traumas and experiences and all of this stuff. And so if you have a common interest and a common goal and mutual respect, if one person puts up a boundary and the other person understands and they're self-aware, they'll respect your boundary. And so, but if somebody doesn't respect your boundary and they keep infusing the data and the programming, and you finally have to then close off your bubble because you don't want any more of that stuff coming in. Your triggers to the trigger of information is coming in that your body doesn't need, because that's what viruses are. It's on a strong body, your body's going to be able to release the excess data. That's called purging, with the right methodology using the J juice. Okay, and so when you're purging out excess data, you're still keeping the data that's relevant to you and that will always be relevant. Okay, and then you're purging out the excess. And so if you have somebody that is on a different wavelength than you, that you haven't fully like repelled yet, you're going to have to put up barriers finally to be able to then stop the bleeding or stop the continuous upload of their data. Okay, so that's why I've cut off private message for a lot of people, because they keep uploading data that I don't want and need. So that's why when you guys PM me all of these videos and all of your points of view and all of this, and you have no idea what I know or what I don't know, I'm not going to go through and watch all your videos. I'm not going to, unless it's like a testimony that you have that you're being straight to the point, or that you have a question about how to get into my group, or here's my receipt, how do I get into Facebook, whatever, that's fine. It's straight, quick, and I know what you're going for. But when someone says, like, oh yeah, I found this video that you should watch, and there really isn't anything in there that tells me at all that you are acknowledging that, is this going to be something I'm going to want to sit and watch for 15, 20, 30 minutes? Would you be generous enough to at least give me why it is that you want me to watch this and what's in it, so that way I don't have to watch it, you just give me the bullet points? Because that's a lot of data to be uploaded into someone that's really not wanting to have all these uploads all the time. That's why you have to be very, very careful with your private messaging, guys. Okay, because unless you are straight to the point, all of your PMs to different people can be overwhelming. And so this is why I don't PM you guys. When I do videos on my phone, I don't add it to my story, because then the story goes into your PM and you get it in your PM, and I don't want to be that invasive. I think I did it a couple times because I didn't know my phone very well, or how it would manifest when I do a video on my phone, but now I do. So I make sure to unradio dial this story so I don't have it land on your phone. See, my mom taught me, even though my mom is awesome, she was very, very harsh, okay? But there's a reason, you know. She taught me boundaries, like, oh my God, because I was crossing boundaries all over the place as a kid. I was a sick kid. And I'm sure she crossed boundaries too. People do, all right? But she really taught me awareness of how people, how it would, you know, I mean, just how it would affect other people, how things affect other people. You know, if somebody's sleeping, you tiptoe. If somebody's sleeping, you turn the handle when you close the door. You don't just close the door. You try to be cognizant and read the room, and then you act accordingly. Okay? If you know that I have 300 people in my group and I have 6,000 people or whatever that are following me, and you know people are coming at me left and right, make sure that your questions are something that everybody can answer, so I'm not constantly trying to go back and forth with people. Now, sometimes I will, because I'll have the time and I'll do it. And then people think, oh yeah, she's had all this time, she'll be my personal person. Not necessarily. Okay? So then I have to create boundaries. Okay? And so that's what boundaries is, recognizing how much you can handle, what you're willing to put up with. And if you don't even have your own boundaries in your world, you're definitely not going to know how to stay within your own boundaries on other people. So then the other person has to be the one to then establish the boundaries, because the other person has no idea how to establish boundaries in their own world, much less on your world. Okay? And so this whole thing with the love and hate and the difference in acknowledgement is about understanding boundaries and understanding that living in the love and hate, because really what it is, and people say, oh, I love you in the right context, is you really like the connection. You have gratitude. That's how I see love in the way people use it. Not to manipulate or to smooth something over, but if you really truly love, like I see Janice or Janie Valentine, I love you. It's because she loves the fact that this information. She loves the deep connection. No other agenda. I don't get any other agenda with Janie Valentine except that she loves the information. Kevin, no other agenda except, hey, he loves the fact that he's able to really explore all of this stuff and put his skills to use. Okay, there are some people that say, I love you, and you wonder what the agenda is, but then you realize what the agenda is, because there's something else going on. They want to get me into a thought process, into a group with some other guru, and I feel it. So when I feel that somebody has another agenda, my biochemistry gets triggered, and then I look, I'm like, oh, and then I just. You know, so there's my body knows when there's another agenda going on. Okay? You guys need to trust. See, but that's the thing, if you guys are on drugs all the time, smoking pot, doing ayahuasca and all this other stuff, there's no way you're gonna be in tune with your body to even read the room or even read yourself or set boundaries. So that didn't even like hit me until I started seeing patterns out there. Okay? So if you're always a victim, it's because you have anesthetized yourself. If you're always the one that's getting hurt, it's because you don't know your own boundaries. And then you also not only become the victim, but you also become the predator. Do you realize that too? That victims can also be predators, because there's still boundaries that are not being recognized and they're always being crossed. And so victims will always allow their boundaries to be crossed. Predators will always cross boundaries, and they're interchangeable. They play off each other. That's why they get along and they have this whole Stockholm syndrome. And so when you try to save a victim, okay, great, but it's like, you know, it's like masking a symptom when you save a victim. The victim needs the tools to get out of the relationship or get out of a situation on their own, but they need it biochemically. Or sometimes, yeah, they need to have authority to come and take them out of a situation because they can't take care of themselves. Those are people that cannot adapt to their environment. Eventually, you know, eventually the environment will eat them up because they have no awareness to protect themselves. They will get into another victim type situation that in the end is going to cost them, and they won't be able to get out of it. But in the meantime, you can try to keep saving a person. And then eventually, you know, there won't be any more saving because they would put themselves in another situation that'll be deadly. Okay, so that's the price of trauma, and that's what goes on in our society right now. When we are living on the platform of reproduction and death, we're never ever going to learn anything. We can advance, you know, technologically, yes, because we're going to utilize the brains that are still coherent for a certain amount of time until they start degrading. And then we will compound the information. Like we compounded and brought in Copernicus and Galileo and Isaac Newton and Einstein and Tesla. And then we are building on all the people that have passed before us, all their information, and then we're compounding it and adding more and then advancing more. That's what will happen. And then those of us doing the JJs will be able to reap the benefits. We won't be one of those that are like, oh yeah, Isaac Newton was great in his time. No, that's not what the JJs is going for. We're not trying to create famous dead inventors here. Okay? I have all the hopes in the world that Kevin Van Rompuy and Bridget and Lori and all of you guys, Crystal and all of you guys, stay on the protocol so we all can experience the fruits of our labor for hundreds of years to come, not be in a history book of somebody's perception of what you did way back when. So right now we're seeing PBS and ABC and NBC keep reliving past historical events that were so traumatized, as well as the great stuff like the women's right to vote. Okay, great. Oh, and then the whole slavery days. Okay, I understand. Do we need to keep reliving all the horrors of the past, or can we finally heal and move forward? So the ones that are still concentrated on the traditions every year, celebrating Christmas, which I know we do, and it's nice to have that memory, but celebrating Christmas and Easter and Thanksgiving and the February of the presidents and Black History Month and all of these things, it keeps recycling the past over and over again. You never can really live within the future if you keep recycling in the past. And so that's the same thing with people who are in trauma. They keep revisiting the past, and then they keep, and whenever they feel that the healing start to happen so they can deal with it and then move forward, guess what? They smoke a thing. They smoke pot. Oh yeah, I had a hard day. I'm going to go smoke a joint. Well, what is it about your day that was so bad that you have to go and smoke a joint? What is it about whatever that is so bad that you have to do this, this, and this? Is there something going on in the background? There's a trauma going on in the background that you're not dealing with. And it's going to come up every single time. And then as you were a victim back then, now you become a predator in a different way. And then when you realize that you're triggering somebody else, then you start saying, I love you, I love you. No, that's the cycle of violence. And then the cycle of orgasms too. The honeymoon period, the tension building, then the explosion. Then it happens again, the honeymoon period, the tension building, then the explosion. So orgasm and the cycle of violence, predator and victim, that's all related. Because orgasms and sex comes from reproduction, which is based upon the body needing to drop seeds because it triggered an extinction event within its internal universe. That's what happens with the 4 seasons. Okay, winter, spring, summer, fall, extreme change in the environment that will then cause the plants and the animals that are sensitive to the environment to then go into a biological process of dormancy, producing seeds, dropping seeds, and then then the fall where the leaves drop off and they start preparing for the winter, and then all that stuff. Okay, and then summer is just everything is blooming. And that's what we're aiming for with the J juice, that we just keep continuously blooming and blooming and blooming with no, but then if there is something that goes on in the environment, we'll be able to adapt to it, not succumb to it and be like, oh my God, I'm so afraid, but be able to adapt to it properly, effectively, without victimizing somebody else. Okay. So the price of trauma is that we keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, And then you're seeing every generation have a shorter generation because nobody in the prior generation has fixed the mutations and fixed the issues. And so then every generation relives the same traumas, the sins of the father. And so that's why you're seeing a lot more cancer, disease, and chronic illness happen every single new generation, because they haven't fixed the traumas from years and from generations ago. So what the J Juice is attempting is to break the programming, the Jilly Juice, jillyjuice.com, JILLYJUICE.com. Get the book, because at least gives you the protocol and some of the science behind what I'm talking about. And then we have another book coming out that's going to give you a lot more, and it has a lot more revelations that I'm talking about as far as just the virus, the benefits of the viruses. And so we're attempting to break the programming. The viruses you'll never ever get away from. We're talking about the cradle of humanity is in Africa. Africa is the most infectious continent in the world, simply because of the climate. Is so hot and it's dry, and that is where the first modern man was discovered. And then I was talking about, like, you know, about the beginning of mankind, where you had all the different hominids procreating together. And you know, with animals, they rape each other. You see the animal, like the lions, their ways of mating are very violent. It's like, holy crap. When you watch a male lion go and go after a female lion, it's like right on the back of the neck, and she's fighting and he's just like, you know, and it's just like, it's kind of like scary to watch some of the matings that happen in the wild with these predators like the lions. Okay? So why we have rapists in our society is because we have people that are actually regressing back to the Neanderthal days. The body's on a death trajectory, triggered an extinction event, and now it wants to go drop its seeds everywhere. It has no discernment. And then there are crimes that get committed because of that. Okay? So this is where you understand biologically what's going on in our society, is that we have people who are so full of cancer, disease, and chronic illness, not giving their body nutrition what it needs. And so the virus programming is not now affecting you, you know, it's not giving you a positive benefit. It's actually causing a negative consequence to you not feeding your body correctly. And so that's where cancer comes from. But what would happen is if you actually brought in strategic nutrition like the J Juice, understand the pain is actually the body trying to heal. You're not constantly trying to anesthetize yourself with pot and drugs or taking organs out, okay? And you actually feel the pain, and then you move past the trauma, and then you are on to something else. You move past it. You're not ever going to revisit it again. And then maybe you have kids, maybe you don't. But remember, when you have kids, it's because your body triggered an extinction event. So maybe you never have kids, but then you never die. So you're the best copy of yourself. And then our planet is a lot more peaceful. We're not going to have rapists. We're not going to have crimes being committed. We're not going to have constant reproduction with mothers that are creating infanticide or manifesting infanticide with babies. You see it all over Facebook. This mother did this. This mother did that. This dad did this. This dad did that. This family did this. There's this whole, you know, this. I mean, it's insane. But that is a reflection of the internal universe of our society. The media is a reflection of the collective. Okay? You know who's in the media? People like us that haven't resolved our issues. And then guess what? They bring back the Civil War. They bring back the slavery days. And then they justify by saying we have to know our history. And then it brings up all of this horrible, horrible memories and anger. And then you have the race wars. That's exactly what the media is doing. But that's exactly what people do inside their bodies when it's so imbalanced and they haven't healed their past traumas. So they keep revisiting it over and over again. And then they go and infect everybody around them. Oh, I'm having an issue. So I'm going to put on my Facebook, Mercury's in retrograde. Please, universe, please stop. Why don't you fix your traumas inside of you so you're not subject to Mercury in retrograde? And you take that energy that could potentially be negative and convert it to be something positive and beneficial to you, instead of being a victim of your circumstances or subject to your conditions. You actually have influence over your environment. That's exactly what J Juice is attempting to do with some people. Some of you will take it on, some of you won't. And so this is why I have to create these boundaries with some people who only took the J Juice to a certain level. but they're not taking it to the next level. So I applaud you that you attempted to take it to a level, whatever level, but some people stop. Hey, Tiffany. Some people stop. Don't stop the J juice. There is continuous levels of healing, continuous expansion of your mind and or of your body, mind, and spirit. You're going to have revelations that I probably don't even can even comprehend, because you have your own interests and your own history and your own take on this world. Okay. And so if you guys get to that level and you have an awakening of sorts, feel free to share it in my secret private Facebook group that is only for people who bought the book that are doing the protocol, and let's explore it. Right now, I'm kind of the one that's doing it because I've been on this protocol for 3 years, longer than anybody. There is nobody that's done the protocol more than 3 years, because this protocol hasn't been around for more than 3 years. Somebody claimed that they've been on the protocol for more than 3 years. No, I'm the longest one on the protocol. Okay? Because this wasn't developed prior to August of 2016. Okay? This wasn't developed prior to that. Because August 2016, I was getting drunk at a barbecue. I was so drunk at this barbecue that I was actually throwing up. And I still can't live that down. This still gets reminded that I need to chew my food more, because there was corn and other stuff all over the grass in one area of their yard. And then right from then, I developed the protocol, swore off of alcohol. I think I did drink a little bit in January of the following year. And then I just stopped drinking alcohol and then started going through the healing process, and then getting feedback from all of you, dealing with the media, dealing with all the misunderstandings. And then finally, with all the different trolls that that I'm like trying to deal with the media, the trolls, and everybody mischaracterizing, I realized that, you know what? The best way to understand trolls that are out there are people who are imbalanced, dealing with, well, their own shit, but we're also seeing predators in the making. We're looking at the different Jeffrey Epsteins out there and all points in between. Okay? This is why we have so much crime in our world, is because we've allowed people to basically do and say whatever they want and feel like they have no consequences. And then that will translate in actual society. If you feel so safe on the internet to go and bully somebody and attack somebody and completely try to destroy them, imagine what you do at home. Imagine what you do in your own community. That's a scary thought. So this is how I figured out with the trolls. I have no reason to get back at the trolls, defend myself against the trolls, but I recognize their psychological makeup. Those are the predators in our society. And if they want to out themselves as the predators in our society, by all means, you're showing your cards. You're showing people who the predators are. So go to those debunking groups against Jilly Juice. Jilly Juice is a scam. Jillian's trying to kill everybody. Jillian is a horrible person. We have to stop her. We have to take her down. And they've tried. And guess what? I took that energy and I converted it and then created this protocol and substantiated it to the best of my ability, utilizing academia and PubMed and the government resources, and shut them all up. But no, the diehard trolls and diehard predators don't care, because their programming has had them glitch until they whatever. But recognize who the trolls are in our society. They're the ones that have no care and no regard for humanity as well as themselves. And then those are the Jeffrey Epsteins, the ones that deal with these sexual trafficking and stuff, because that's victimizing weaker people. When you actually make a point to destroy somebody and focus on destroying somebody, that is a characteristic of a predator of our society and all the different points in between. Okay? It's a sign that you have a major imbalance, a death trajectory, and now you want to go infect everybody around you. And so the JJs, we don't do that. We're understanding the cabbage, water, and salt, and probiotic. Not the probiotic of kombucha, apple cider vinegar, and acidophilus, but the right probiotic matched with the right stuff, the cabbage and the kale, and the water, and the pink Himalayan salt, which has like 84, 86 minerals. Okay, and so your body needs electrolytes, your body needs probiotics, you need lactobacillus, because lactobacillus will keep the viruses from completely like destroying you, and you're getting the nutrients to build up your body, so that way you're able to derive benefit from these viruses, release any excess, because that's what happens. Like when you test positive on a titer test, you have a lot of antibodies. If you ever get a blood transfusion from someone of the wrong blood type, it creates all these antibodies, and then they have to go and then disperse the antibodies by giving you saline and glucose in those IV bags. Okay, so then you know that if you have too many viruses in your body, they take over and then it becomes cancer. And then also too, when you don't fix the programming and give your body what it needs as far as nutrition, it then sends off wrong messages to the different 11 different systems. And then you start seeing overabundance of fat, too much collagen. You start seeing diabetes. Okay, we say obesity. Obesity comes from the adenovirus, ADENOVIRUS. That virus, which it could be very good programming, but on a very weak body, causes obesity. It causes gene mutations, epigenetics. Okay, remember I talked about Judy Mikovits, how she's like, oh, a whistleblower, they're putting cancer in the vaccines. It's only cancer to those that are weak. No matter what, you would get cancer anyways, because you'd be coming upon these viruses in your environment, whether it's in your family that you got from your like hereditary, that you can always change the programming. But right now you're seeing in family medical history is the fact that the mother has all these viruses and antibodies that then gets passed on to the child. It's called natural immunity through breast milk and through in utero. Okay, and so you already have a predisposition if you don't change the programming. So this whole thing with the Judy Mikovits being a whistleblower is a bunch of bullshit. Okay, you need to have, if you're not taking care of your body, you need, and you know you're going to be exposed to the HPV and to the flu virus and to all these different rotaviruses and everything out there, you need to have some layer of protection. So you get a weak attenuated virus with mercury, which is a mineral your body needs. Okay, formaldehyde, okay, it's another mineral. It's a conglomeration of minerals that your body needs. Okay, you have an elemental composition of the human body. The first 9 elements is oxygen, water, and electrolytes. The last 20 or 30 or 40 is all trace minerals. Mercury, formaldehyde, well, mercury, barium, uranium, and cobalt, and other stuff, okay? I can't name them all. But they all rely on the periodic tables, all right? So yeah, you have those as adjuvants in the vaccines. You get it anyways when you eat food out there, processed food, when you breathe the air. But if you have a very working immune system and a working body, you'll be able to release any excess elements and then absorb the nutrients. Okay, and now you have a layer of protection as if you were exposed to those viruses, but not in such an aggressive way, because the government cannot see if you're a strong person or a weak person. That's why when you have somebody that takes a vaccine and then, or 2 people that take the same vaccine, one will have a reaction, the other one won't. One is strong, the other one isn't. That's what it comes down to. So Judy Mikovits is not anybody, is a whistleblower. She's capitalizing on the ignorance out there. Same thing as Larry Cook, capitalizing on the ignorance out there. They're shutting his group down, or rumors of it, they're shutting his group down. Kind of telltale. Oh, no, it's not the government trying to kill you and stop you and all this. No, it's the fact that we're dealing with so much ignorance. People out there that are so money hungry that if they can get people to back up a campaign that seems plausible, because remember, when you have a belief system, you will find every evidence to support it, because everything can be taken either way if you're not clear in your communication. Okay, and so no, the government isn't trying to kill you. The government does want you healthy, but they can't make you be healthy. They can't make you change your belief system. So they give you shortcuts and kind of give you what you asked for. I want all these drugs and these immunotherapies and these procedures to just kind of give me a stay of execution until I pass away. Believe me, they will have it, and it'll cost money. If you can't take care of yourself, and if you don't know yourself to take care of yourself, guess what? If somebody else has to take care of you, you got to pay them some money. If you can take care of yourself, then hey, then you're not having to buy the products, the prescription drugs, the pills, the powders, supplements, and all that stuff. Okay? So if you know how your body works and you're not afraid of the pain, because what is pain? Pain is basically your prostaglandin hormone being expressed. That's all it is. And it aids in the healing process. Some people can handle the pain and they don't need to take on ibuprofen or Tylenol or turmeric or ayahuasca, which really isn't that for pain, but anyways. Or they don't have to take pot or any other painkiller that's out there. They will deal with it. Like yesterday, I wasn't in pain, but had this just weird feeling. Okay? I just sat with it and just understood it. And I felt myself vibrating, going to the next level. Maybe you see it today. I don't know. You tell me. I feel it. I feel a vast difference today than what I felt a couple days ago. Even in my delivery, I see a difference and feel a difference. And so, yeah, so the price of trauma is that humanity and humans are going to keep reliving and keep cycling in the same stuff. So you see all the activists in the chemtrails, the 5G, the political parties. When you look at the psychological makeup of people who subscribe to specific politics, you know it comes from traumas unresolved. Okay? Remember, predator and prey, victim and abuser are interchangeable. So if you subscribe to Democrat, Republican, you're basically trading back and forth whether you're predator or prey, because that's how the Democrats view the Republicans, as these predators that are trying to take away money and take away social programs and totally callous white supremacist type of thing. That's how the Democrats view the Republicans. It's from a victim type of platform. And these Republicans are like, oh yeah, you know, the Second Amendment, lesser taxes. I mean, these are just very superficial characterizations of these political parties. But you see the type of people that gravitate towards these specific political parties. Okay, I have 1 million student loans. I know it. I'm in the process of dealing with them. Okay, so yeah, Warren looks really great. Yes, I definitely would love to pay. I need to pay them back, of course. I'm going to be paying them back. I am paying them back. But, or they're on deferment. But it's there. It's on my, but I wouldn't mind having, you know, because they're so expensive and the interest is so insane. And the colleges, yeah, and I did sign a contract that I was going to, you know, that I would pay it back. And when we make these types of commitments when we are so young, it's almost like we're being taken advantage of, okay, when we're young, because we really don't know really the ramifications and what's going to happen in the future. Okay, life changes all the time. And so where you were like 10 or 15 years ago may not be where you are today. So there's nothing wrong with seeing, okay, how can we have a new future? So yeah, I'm going to gravitate towards Warren, okay, versus Trump, but whatever. So that I know where that comes from. It comes from my trauma of dealing with student loans. I know where it comes from. It's all psychological. Okay? So the political parties are based upon the psychological makeup as far as, you know, predator and prey, victim, abuser. I mean, if we didn't have any politics, it's because everybody could get along and agree and be on the same wavelength, and nobody's on a death trajectory because we're all fundamentally similar. We're all pro-life in every single aspect, not just the political, but every single aspect, which means that we wouldn't have hospitals. We would just have J-juice. And we wouldn't have any pain because no one would be on a death trajectory, because no one would be healing, because we wouldn't be hurting each other. I mean, so the political parties are really just a manifestation of just how imbalanced our society is. And that's the same thing with love and hate. It's just a manifestation of a very imbalanced, extreme type of feeling and behaviors. Bullying and predatorship. Those are obviously two sides of the same coin. You know, the history of evolution, that's the whole thing with, well, that's what I was talking about with the hominids and Neanderthals and Homo erectus and Homo sapien, Homo habilis, and then the viruses back in Africa were probably the missing link that actually gave humans civilization, create a civilized society, expanded their consciousness, been able to create language so they can communicate. And then every single reproduction, then there was a mutation too, which mutations are actually can be very good on a very strong body, but mutations on a weak body can be very detrimental. But in Africa, a lot of bacteria and viruses that could either totally harm you if you're weak or completely catapult us to the next level. But right now, our society is so weak that now we're not people in J Juice, but everybody else out there is afraid of the Ebola virus. Well, that could be like the next phase of human expansion, but we'll never know it except for the ones that are on J Juice, if we even can figure out if our exposure to Ebola virus has taken us to the next level. I don't know. Could we be able to pinpoint? Because I don't know if Ebola has already been exposed in our society. Well, we hear about it. The CDC will let us know. They have been telling us. But right now, people out there that are on weak bodies are afraid of the Ebola virus because they are on weak bodies. And so now what we're attempting with the J Juice is to strengthen your body so you're not afraid of the Ebola virus or bacteria or microbes or anything else, the 5G or the chemtrails. Because yeah, Earth goes through its cycles. Okay, Earth goes through its cycles. So just like the human body goes through its cycles. You know, at night, it starts going through its cycles to go and purge out stuff. It might heat up. Like yesterday, I felt like a heat in my body yesterday. It was such a trip. Oh, I felt like it was like a hot flash. And it was like maybe about 5 minutes. And I had the hot flash symptoms. You know, this is a couple months back. Remember that? You guys are like, oh my God, I know it feels like I have hot flashes. But that's a healing symptom of menopause, that I'm not going to have menopause. Okay? And what I'm trying to shoot for is to not have my period ever, because it means I'd be the best copy. But then my period could be insurance based upon how pathogenic our society is, but not really pathogenic. It's just the fact that my body's still healing. That's what I'm thinking now, that we're on this another level of viruses, that on a strong body, these viruses will then create a programming that would then maybe mitigate the need for reproduction, which means no period. But if you're on a death trajectory in our society, you go through the milestones of you get your period, and then you get your period, and then you get menopause as you get older, and you start seeing your hair fall out, your hair go gray, and all these things that happen with aging, and then people die. Like menopause is like the last hurrah before people die type of thing. Or if you have a mutation or something going on in your reproductive system, you might trigger menopause in your 40s. But your body is still going to be fine, and you'll go through whatever aging process, and maybe you pass away at 80. But you triggered menopause way back in your 40s. Okay? So that's that model. But we're trying to now flip that script with the J Juice. Okay? So I don't know. That's yeah, I mean, let me show you the quadrants. This is what we discussed, which I haven't even gone to these actually. But yeah, I mean, I made these 4 quadrants where you have like strong body. Ooh, I can't even figure out. Strong body, weak body, okay? And then weak virus, strong virus, okay? And so on a weak virus on a weak body is you really can't get any vaccinations because your body's too weak. It could put you over the edge. It means you really can't adapt. Okay? And or you're too old. Okay, maybe you're in hospice, so you have a weak body and a weak virus and a weak body. Yeah, no matter what, you won't be able to adapt. So then a weak body and a strong virus, no vaccinations, too old. Here you go, too old. Type of thing. Yeah, so I make these quadrants, and I have to figure out how to explain them again. I haven't looked at these in a while. let's talk about the vaccinations, because this really is a reflection of our society. If you can't handle your environment, then you won't be able to handle the vaccine schedule, because the environment is going to have more data. We are seeing with the whole thing with social media, that is a lot of information on social media. The internet is a lot of information. Not everybody can handle the vast amount of information. And then what they do when you can't handle that amount of information is then you make fun of those that use the internet and Google when they do research. You start diminishing their ability to process information. Oh, you're a Google scientist. Oh, you can only get information from textbooks and professors in academia. There's nothing on the internet except for, credible news outlets like this, and that. Well, yeah, there's Medical News Today, PubMed, NIH, Smithsonian, Nat Geo. There's a lot, okay? NPR. A lot of the mainstream outlets have credible information. And then what I found that is these alternative, like Natural News Today or News Target or InfoWars, they may have brought out some of the conspiracy stuff as far as the Jeffrey Epstein, because that did come out with InfoWars. Is that they've been talking about the Jeffrey Epstein, the whole Predator network, for a long time. However, they also packaged all that up with the thing with the supplements and the pills and the powders and the detoxes, which are vastly poisonous on very weak bodies. And so people who are like, oh yeah, the Jeffrey Epstein, and they're also anti-vax too. So the fact that Jeffrey Epstein and that whole Predator network was confirmed then gives some people a license to then say that there's credibility in the anti-vax and the pills, powder, supplements. And I'm going to say, no, 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 no. It's no different than these subprime mortgages being bundled up with the good mortgages and then being sold as if it was all good. You got to understand the weaknesses in some of these news organizations. There's weaknesses too in NBC as well, because not saying that there's anything, that there's anything that's wrong, but they're also coming from a perspective of a very weak and imbalanced population. Guess who's in these news organizations? People like you and I that are dealing with cancer, disease, and chronic illness. So they're going to characterize Africa as a very bad place to go because it's so full of pathogens. But pathogens is based upon how it translates to your body. But these aren't necessarily pathogens on a strong body. So it's still a perspective. So you're still getting somebody's perspective based upon what they're dealing with. If you understand it's all about perspective, then you'll be able to kind of then unlock the data that used to be totally unavailable to you. I can read an article and know exactly what perspective they're coming from because the way they demonize certain things. I know exactly what that writer is going through because they're going through all of their cancer, disease, chronic illness, and aging. And so that's how they're going to characterize Africa is a very infectious, horrific, pathogenic place to be, and you better be strong, get all your vaccines before you go to Africa. Yeah, that's true. But hey, a person that's very strong, that can handle their environment and strengthen their body with the right elements, that don't have any kind of cancer, disease, chronic illness, or anything like that, they can go into Africa in the places that are safe, that you're not going to be accosted by roving warriors, because that's what I'm most afraid of. Is if I go to Africa, are there going to be these roving, and that's where the State Department lets you know, well, don't go into this area because it's very unstable and there are people that will want to kill you as an American, so you don't go to those places. But if there are places that are relatively safe, like in parts of South Africa, because I have people who are in South Africa on my Facebook, yeah, I go there. I would have no problem. And I wouldn't even need to get a vaccine. I'll just go. And then look for cabbage, water, and salt, because I already have the temperature out there. So all I need is just the time and the ratios and the jars. Okay? And I will adapt to that environment very, very well. Okay? So yeah, I mean, I don't know. So the whole thing with the vaccines, yeah, you gotta be able to adapt. So anyways, I have these quadrants. I have to, I did have something written for Kevin that he wants to do something with. But anyways, I've just been moving through all of these different concepts very, very quickly. And so this is what I hope with humanity, is that there is like this type of mentality would translate to all of you, that you would all just go through the different concepts of your life, and then you're not revisiting past traumas. You're not dealing with the same bullshit. That you can create something new, and you keep creating, keep manifesting, creating, but not keep revisiting PTSD. Okay, so that's what I hope with the J Juice can do for all of you, is that you finally can kill off the family medical history programming, and then reprogram your body on a life trajectory. Deal with the pain, because if you can get through the first trimester and still do your life, because some of you have started the protocol but you didn't make any more of it, and you're not staying on it because you know why? Because it's so much data. And so when there's so much, the taste to some people, it's hard for them to stop. But then when you realize what this data is and what it's going to do for you, you're not going to care about the taste. I'm telling you, when I first started doing the protocol, I came from the world of the detoxes and the holistic world. So I knew that I was going to be dealing with symptoms. I knew it. Some of you have never dealt with detoxing or the holistic world, so you were not prepared to deal with all this sickness, all that stuff that comes to surface. But I didn't care what it tasted like, okay? Because I was desperate. My life was on the line. I wasn't like in some kind of terminal illness, but I knew if I did not do something quick, my marriage was gonna go down the tubes. My whole future would be completely horrific. I started seeing what my life was gonna be like by looking on the internet and looking at people's Facebook, and I'm looking at what they're dealing with, you know, the cancer, the disease, the hopelessness, the fighting in the marriages, people just basically just throwing up all of their problems all over Facebook, bleeding everywhere, literally. That was not appetizing to me. Okay, I needed to do something. And so I knew the answer was in the cabbage, water, and salt, and the probiotics. And then that's when everything got developed as far as understanding what's antibiotic in our world, what's probiotic, what's the right probiotic, and then understanding the food supply, understand the healing symptoms, and understanding and sharing my experiences, and then you guys giving me your feedback. And now we are now seeing evolution in motion. Okay, this is what this is evolution in motion. We are actually seeing evolution as we speak right now with humanity right now. Now you can take part in it, or you can still play in the divide and conquer, the politics, the demonizing of the Trump, demonizing of the Warren, making everybody wrong for their belief system. You can play in that world, and that is the imbalanced world of the death trajectory. Or you can get on the J Juice, up your dosages, stay away from the divide and conquer, stop anesthetizing yourself with all the different drugs unless you absolutely have to, like prescription drugs, and start feeling to heal. If not, you will be stuck. You'll be stuck at a specific level, and you will not be able to get out of that rut. And then you wonder why. Well, up your dosages, get off the internet for a minute of your activism, share in the group where you are, acknowledge that you still take part in all the divide and conquer, acknowledge that you're still trying to play the ayahuasca and all the different energy stuff, when you really should be taking stuff in the gut to then allow your mind to make the right choice, then be able to tap into the spirit out there. But it starts in the gut. That's where it starts. It's in the gut. The body, mind, and spirit, in that order, needs to be addressed. If not, then you're intellectualizing this protocol. You're not actually taking it on. It sounds great theoretically, but really you're not truly physically taking it on. And that's the point of J Juice, is actually you do the work. You don't talk about the work. You do the work and then you talk about it. All right. That's really all I got right now. I don't know. Here, let me show you this. This is all the data in the world. These are all of the viruses that are either going to destroy your body or completely revamp it and accelerate and make you so strong. Relative to what you bring to the table will be how these viruses get received to you. And you will either look at this as a total evil, or you will look at this as a total, wow, this is a lot of data, this is a lot of program, this is amazing. See, that's how J-Juice is going to manifest, is you're going to look at this as no fear, and you're excited to be introduced to this. Absolutely, Krista. This used to be fearful to me. It's not. This is what makes up the world. Our whole society is chemical. It's all, everything is chemical. It's chemical. Everything can be broken down to an elemental composition. Everything. And then you don't have these constructs like man and woman, liberal Democrat, or Republican conservative. When you realize that Trump and Obama and Warren and Bernie are all basically elements and at different levels and stages of degradation because they're aging, you start just giving them and cutting them some slack and realizing whatever you're projecting onto Trump and Warren and everything else is basically what you're exhibiting in your life. You are a reflection to what you project onto our politicians and leaders of our society. You're no better. And then this is the vaccine schedule. This is basically your environment. If you can't handle this vaccine schedule, you can't handle your environment, because you cannot prevent these viruses. They're already out there, honey. And so if you're afraid of this, you have a whole lot more to be afraid of as this society keeps advancing. And these viruses keep, because our universe is expanding. Right now, we just noticed, or there was an article that talked about a black hole that doesn't actually destroy, it allows another portal, like a wormhole, that has like conflicting things that allows you to actually be able to not be destroyed by it. Because that's what death is. Okay, how I've characterized death in our society is either you're a black hole where you're consuming more than you're producing, and that's where the credit-based system comes from, or you're supernova, like a Tony Robbins, who's beautiful, but he is aging, but he has a wonderful message to help people, but he's like a shooting star. Eventually, he's going to fizzle out. Because already I see him going towards the pills, powders, and supplements game. So he went from being a motivational speaker to helping people with their businesses and their life to now going into the health and wellness. Well, that's reflective of his internal universe completely degrading. So he's trying like his might to go and try to manage his symptoms. But you see the aging, okay? So now we're trying, so with the J-Juice is we want to have supernova of creativity and then a continuous life. We don't want to have black holes. We don't want to have supernovas as far as just like you're a shooting star and then you fizzle out. Okay, we want to have a nice even keel of life. So yeah, supernovas, black holes, and then these portals, like the death, like these ghosts. Like I'm looking at these portals. Like when you go to an area, like Zach Bagans and the Ghost Adventures, which I love to watch. That's my guilty pleasure, is the Real Housewives and Ghost Adventures. Now you can try to, psychologically analyze that. By all means, go for it. But I'm looking at all these people that are been afflicted by all these different ghosts are very, very sick. And these viruses, and then there's portals. There's like these portals which are black holes. So there could be like mini black holes where all of these evil entities that only the people who are very, very sick can access. Because I have yet to be in a house where someone says it's haunted by everybody. I've been in a house, but I could have been also really, weak too. Back in 2012, I was living with a lady. My husband and I were living with a driver that my husband was team driving with. And she had an altar with the Catholic Mary thing with all these candles. And, I'm in this house, and I know she had these little things that would blow out deodorant type of stuff. Okay. But I had these smells. Okay. Which I thought was weird because I don't know, maybe it was those little deodorant things. But I had a weird unease in that house. Now, back then I was very, very, very unhealthy. I mean, I was eating, because we were so poor too. So I was eating like Chef Boyardee out of the can, cold. Not that I really needed it, but that's kind of where we're at. I mean, we were eating Top Ramen and Chef Boyardee and stuff like that, right? So I've yet now today to test my theory about ghosts, and that ghosts are really like viruses, because viruses don't really become viruses. Really, you can't see them with the naked eye until they're inside a biological entity. So that's how they're able to see the different viruses, is they look under a microscope on a tissue that's been infected by a virus, and then they see, okay, they have a specific unique characteristic to it. Okay, but if there was a virus like on an object like this, like if I touch this, could you actually look under a microscope and see the virus? Maybe, because they say that it could live. Bacteria can reproduce. Bacteria can also come back to life with water. So could a virus that is a part of me and part of my DNA being processed through me, making the message stronger? So when I go and when I'm communicable and coughing on somebody and they get sick, the message is stronger. Will that virus still be present on this phone if I actually were to pass away? Yeah, because that's when they say that when you are dealing with like a portal or with ghosts, that you have to burn the personal items of the person. So that I'm like, oh, interesting. So if you bought something from an antique store, that's somebody's energy. That's somebody's, what either they made or what they bought and then they had in their house for years. And then all of their energy, their viruses or hormones completely envelop that object. And so when they pass away, and it's an unsettling passing away and not a peaceful death, that energy is still all over that phone or all over that object. And then when someone buys it, and then they're also, so a kindred spirit. So not everybody that buys old items gets affected by the energy of that item. I'm seeing that people are attracted to like minds. So kindred spirits, like Democrats are attracted to other Democrats. Republicans are attracted to other Republicans. Empaths are attracted to other empaths. Okay. So if there is a kindred spirit, a person that's died that has all of these weaknesses and these viruses and these issues and all this stuff, and it's still that residual energy that hasn't been dealt with, and then somebody else that has kind of the same energy or are very weak, then they will be able to feel that, okay, and that other energy then tries to overtake them like a cancer, okay? And so I say with you guys, with the J juice, is we're not trying to leave behind objects for somebody else to go and capitalize on. Why not we produce more than we consume so we can stay viable and credible for many years to come? But if we die, then we're leaving behind stuff for other people to then go and use and capitalize our energy. And then if they're a weaker version, then we'll go and haunt them or something. I don't know. That's my ramblings around the whole ghosts and the viruses and stuff like that, and the whole portals, because I guess there are some places where there's just so much negative energy. It's like a portal to hell. It's like all this, like this cancer viruses on weak people is so strong in one area. And since most of our society is strong, most people are going to get affected by a very condensed negative energy. So I would love to test out something that's on the J juice, go into a place that's been known to have very, very crazy hauntings and see if they get affected. See, that's what it would be so amazing to see. But I mean, that's still in the future. But you know, that's all something that, you know, that we can think about, especially if those of you that are in haunted houses. You do the J juice, do you see yourself ghost flushing? Because that's what actually tigers and tigers in the horoscopes. I only believe in horoscopes a little bit. I don't take it to the next level, but I like to play with horoscopes. But they say that the Chinese tigers, and I'm a tiger, you know, tiger horoscope in the Chinese Vietnamese calendar, that we are ghost flushers. We're rebels and we're ghost flushers. Well, yeah, because we're very, very strong. Okay. So anyways, yeah. Wow. I probably can talk for days, but I think I'm going to let this go for now. I don't know. I can look at, let me look and see what's on my Facebook. If there's anything I missed. Okay. Oh yeah, with the climate change. Yeah, we're going through many, many cycles. Oh Lordy, there's a lot of stuff here. Yeah, fear attracts fear. Oh yeah, the whole thing with the Vatican. Yeah, that was a good video. You guys should watch that, because you know, when I went to Portugal last year, I went to Fatima, and it was a major pilgrimage place for a lot of the Catholics to go and give their blessings to, or whatever they do. And I know I'm coming from the conspiracy world, the MK Ultra, the satanic Hollywood world, where they've always talking about all roads lead to Rome, or you know, the Vatican is so satanic, and this and that and that and that. And I'm going to say that there are predators not only in the Vatican, but there are predators everywhere. People that victimize minors are all over the place. The Vatican would not be immune to that, because they're aging cardinals, the aging priests, crimes are being committed all over the place, covered up. It's not just the Vatican, it's everywhere else, that anybody that is on a death trajectory that happens to trigger that kind of behavior. And then there are specific factors, I guess. I don't know, I haven't studied that side of that illness too much, because it's very tawdry and very negative, and it's not really something I want to study. But there are characteristics of these specific predators. And you may see some of them exhibit themselves on the internet as far as bullying, or they are not even on the radar at all, and they look just like your regular and act just like your regular next door neighbor, but they have a totally different side to them. See, that's what's just, it's so hard to know. So I'm sure somebody out there has done all the data gathering to then profile these type of predators, and then you can predict. We could probably accurately predict, especially with with Facebook, because of all the data that's available. We can predict who the predators are in our society. Okay, so the whole thing with the Vatican is the fact that yes, they are the ones that do, like, they have pontifical sciences, and they explore the medical world, the holistic world, the environment, space, physics, chemistry. They do like Nobel Peace Prize type stuff. There's like the Max Planck Institute, all the different inventors and discoverers like Galileo and Copernicus and Isaac Newton, all that stuff that happened back then. And then you have like Mercy Hospital, all these different Catholic hospitals that practice immunotherapies, that practice antibiotics, that practice finding alternative ways for people to manage their cancer, disease, and chronic illness, and other issues with temporary things like prosthesis. Like, you know, the whole thing with the bone, like I'm talking about, you can actually potentially regrow bones under the right conditions. Well, guess what they do in the prosthesis community, because they want to fit you with a prosthesis? Bone spurs is actually new bone growth. Now, if somebody is imbalanced or not getting the right nutrition, they have mutations, they may develop bone spurs in areas that are like, whoa, that's weird. Why am I developing a bone spur on my foot? Okay, you hear about that. Well, that's new bone growth, but why is it growing out of your foot? Because you have a malfunction and a miscommunication in your bones. But under the right conditions, if you happen to have your arm chopped off for whatever reason, you're going to have to go through pain if you want to regrow that arm, theoretically, and then there's going to be a bone spur. But in our society, we don't want to deal with pain. We want to anesthetize ourselves. So we take all these antibiotics, and then we chop off that bone spur at the time that it's appropriate. They don't chop off bone spurs in kids because they're still developing. They wait until the child stops developing, and then they chop off that bone spur and then fit the child with a prosthesis. What would happen if they allowed that child to keep growing that bone spur, and then they start seeing the actual, all the different things start growing? Because the skin will be the thing on the outside, and then all the stuff on the inside will be growing. And then over time, and yes, you'll be in pain, because pain is healing. You know, growing pains. As a kid, when I was a kid, I had major growing pains. My legs, oh my God, I had the worst pain in my legs. I remember as a child, it was always like in the morning or the middle of the night where I would have to toss and turn because growing It was so painful. Well, yeah, when you're regrowing a limb, it's going to be freaking painful. But people don't want to deal with pain, so guess what they do? They take a pill, powder, supplement, detox, whatever, a painkiller, and they stop the growth. They stop the cell regeneration right there. And that's why you don't see people regrowing their arms when they have it cut off, because people don't want to deal with the pain. So I just challenge anybody out there that wants to be under the radar because they don't want to be criticized, but to do the J juice, deal with the pain, and maybe we'll see in, I don't know how long it would take to regrow. If you have, like, let's say you cut off a finger, do the J juice. Let's see if that finger comes back. Deal with the pain. You may not see your finger get addressed right off the bat. You may see other things get addressed right off the bat. But eventually the body is going to then start dealing with the finger. I'm dealing with right now with my teeth, like my gums are kind of sore. Okay? So I know there's stuff going on in my healing process that I will just deal with. Okay, so it's 3 years into this, and finally, like, right, my mouth is a little bit sore. Okay, so you know, you guys just don't ever give up. Push the envelope. If you're only doing like 2 or 3 cups a day, push it. Remember to drink water. Deal with the pain. Feed your mind right. If you have to take your prescription drugs, take your prescription drugs. But don't ever get off this ride, because I'm telling you, the best is yet to come. And there is no telling when it's going to end. It keeps getting better. It's getting better for me. Okay, and I'm not any different than all of you. I have 11 different systems. I happen to be female. You happen to be male or female. I happen to be Asian, Mongolian. You might happen to be Caucasian or black or Mexican or Chinese or something else, but we're all the same. The only difference is the fact of how our ancestors adapted to their environment. Okay? We're really all Pangean. We're all the same. Nobody is more special than the other person. Though our society likes to make people think, oh, you're so special, you're so this, you're so that. So you don't feel less than. So you can adapt to your expectations. Let's raise your expectations, not adapt to your expectations. Raise it and then adapt. Was it adapt, overcome, and then influence? Because you're going to have to adapt to your society, to your environment, no matter what. Then you have to overcome all of your PTSD traumas, and then you get to influence. There's no sense in influencing if you haven't adapted or overcoming. You're not very influential if you haven't even taken care of your insides. That's why I don't want anybody trying to influence me when they're not well balanced inside. That's why I have a barrier and a block to people who try to influence me that I know are still dealing with their PTSD. Your body knows. All right, you guys have a good day. Talk to you later.